The Tet Offensive stands out as a pivotal military campaign, marking a crucial turning point in the Vietnam War. On January 30, 1968, the North Vietnamese Army, along with Southern Communist rebels, commonly referred to as the Viet Cong, initiated a series of well-coordinated attacks against both U.S. and South Vietnamese troops. These surprise assaults, named for their timing during the Lunar New Year, sparked a notable two-month conflict that ultimately reshaped the trajectory of the Vietnam War. Here we will provide an overview of the Tet Offensive, its consequences, and its enduring impact as the crucial juncture in the Vietnam War. The United States became actively engaged in the Vietnam War in 1964, following years of condemning communism and clandestinely supporting operations in aid in the conflict. Over the subsequent 4 years, President Lyndon B. Johnson deployed more than 500,000 troops to Vietnam, provoking substantial protests among American citizens. The predominant style of warfare in Vietnam involved guerrilla tactics, rather than large, coordinated battles. Viet Cong soldiers executed hit-and-run attacks and ambushes, while US troops carried out small-scale search and destroy missions. However, on January 30, 1968, the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong deviated from this pattern by initiating the Tet Offensive, the most extensive series of surprise attacks on over 100 South Vietnamese cities. During the Lunar New Year, North Vietnamese troops launched massive surprise attacks in the mountainous regions along the Laos and Cambodia border. A force of 85,000 North Vietnamese troops targeted 5 major cities in South Vietnam and nearly 100 additional towns, villages, and military installations. They also launched an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Saigon, managing to partially breach the walls. North Vietnam aimed for a decisive victory to bring an end to the conflict, but the engagement proved chaotic. This strategic move, both shocking and significant, marked a major turning point in the Vietnam War. Battle of Hue played out as a prolonged and intense conflict, leading to numerous casualties over several months. In February, one of the longest and bloodiest battles unfolded and persisted for over 3 weeks. During this period, North Vietnamese and Viet Cong soldiers conducted house-to-house searches, apprehending civil servants, teachers, religious leaders, and individuals associated with the United States or the South Vietnamese government. Those detained were branded as counter-revolutionaries and subsequently executed. Following the retaking of Hue, the discovery of 2,800 massacred bodies and reports of 3,000 missing residents underscored the brutality of the conflict. The total included 150 Marines and 400 South Vietnamese troops killed, while North Vietnam sustained even more significant losses with 5,000 casualties. In the aftermath, despite weeks of intense fighting, neither side claimed a decisive victory. The Viet Cong and North Vietnam suffered a substantial military setback, losing an estimated 58,000 men by the conflict's end. The Viet Cong also failed to capture any South Vietnamese or American strongholds. The United States, on the other hand, mourned the loss of 4,000 troops, and the toll on South Vietnam was devastating, with over 14,000 men, women, and children killed during the course of the conflict. Despite a lower number of casualties, the United States did not emerge victorious. The offensive in Vietnam raised troubling questions for Americans. President Johnson and his advisors had long assured the public that victory was imminent, but televised footage of U.S. Embassy personnel engaged in combat with Viet Cong rebels contradicted these claims. The Johnson administration had deceived the American people about the realities of the Vietnam War, including the brutalization of innocent civilians. On March 16, 1968, American troops attacked the small South Vietnamese hamlet of My Lai, expecting Viet Cong guerrillas. However, upon discovering only women, children, and the elderly, they engaged in horrific actions, including rape and the murder of up to 500 villagers. The My Lai massacre came to symbolize the misdirection of American military power. Public opinion regarding the war experienced a substantial change, with confidence in President Johnson's Vietnam strategy hitting an all-time low. In reaction to this, Johnson opted to decrease troop numbers and restrict bombing in North Vietnam. Faced with discreditation, he withdrew from the presidential race, leading to internal divisions within the Democratic Party and opening the path for the victory of Republican challenger Richard Nixon. Following Nixon's election, American diplomats initiated peace talks in Paris with their North Vietnamese counterparts. By the time of Nixon's triumph in November, a majority of Americans favored a swift exit from the conflict. While the war persisted for several more years, the Tet Offensive played a crucial role in turning the tide of American public opinion against the war. This shift ultimately set the stage for the withdrawal of American forces and the eventual defeat of South Vietnam. Please share your thoughts by leaving a comment, subscribe, and hit the like button for additional videos like this. Thank you for watching.